If you've been unlucky with loot at midnight so far, you may be wondering if you're just a bit cursed. And as it turns out, you actually kind of have been cursed. Blizzard finally have addressed some extreme RNG that people have been suffering from, at least in a little bit of a way. Meanwhile, though, Outrage appears to have forced Blizzard's hand, and the PTR has already got some strange class reworks lined up. There is so much to talk about in today's episode of the news, and you know what? As far as they go, it's a decently serious one. Now, there's one thing most people don't think about with a channel like mine, or most on the internet, and that is how much non-gameplay footage goes into making a video feel polished. Cinematic transitions, ambient music for a lore section, sound design that isn't just a default UI, and even things like masked out smoke effects so we can make gorgeous transitions. Well, today's sponsor, Storyblocks, handles those bits that we're not able to. It's one subscription for unlimited stock video, music, sound effects, and After Effects templates. I mean, the music library alone has saved me hours. Just finding a track that fits can be a real pain, and then there's having to worry with copyright, which isn't an issue here. And the After Effects templates are amazing for your titles, your lower thirds, and really anything visual that would otherwise require a dedicated motion designer. It's an amazing way to just level up your production and learn new skills. And the licensing is completely clear for YouTube, so no strikes, no surprises, no bullshit. And honestly, that alone makes it worth it over just scrounging stuff from the internet, which honestly is just risking getting a copyright strike, which sucks. So whether you're starting a channel or you're just trying to step up your production, go to storyblocks.com/Bellular Warcraft. The link is below. Since prepatch, people have been complaining about their RNG. But these weren't complaints about getting no loot, they were complaints about getting the same loot. They were getting vaults, literally full of weapons, and the odds of that are remarkably tiny. Others were getting only trinkets from delves, some only cloaks from prey, and some nothing but bracers for literally every single drop. Something genuinely seemed amiss, but hey, it could just be bad luck, and WoW is played by a lot of people. But these reports kept coming in, and coincidence started to look like something more. And it got worse as well, because as weekly limited sources unlocked, Nightmare Prey and Bountiful Delves started spitting out utterly useless gear for people. So much so that by this week, some characters have kind of been bricked by getting nothing but one or two types of loot. Blizzard hasn't released any big public statement in this, so we were largely left to assume that some of us were just on a generational run of bad luck. But as it turns out, your pattern recognition was actually right, because buried in a post on the customer support forum, well, turns out this has actually been on Blizzard's radar since before midnight dropped. On February 16th, this blue post confirmed that it was, quote, being looked into. And just last week, they updated it to say that it's a bug and that a hotfix is actually being worked on. That's really good, but by now, I mean, the damage is done. If you've been impacted, tough luck, because customer support will not be able to re-roll your loot for you. And at least by the time we're recording, they haven't been able to explain the bug or give people any possible workarounds for it. So today, the best I can do is just give you a big warning. Don't open your Great Vault first thing, I guess. Maybe do some prey first to ensure that you're getting at least gear in 3 different slots, and if you are getting gear in multiple slots, then you're probably fine and you should just go use your Great Vault. At least that's the best guess I can give you right now. Basically, it's as if the game decides you're getting loot for a specific slot, and for whatever reason, never seems to update to a new one. As for what causes it, no one knows yet. Now, people started reporting this randomly stopping and starting on individual characters with no clear logic. It seems to be a bug that's hard to reproduce unless you're one of the people reporting that this persists across their entire account. And worse yet, it does apply everywhere there is personal loot, and that means everything in the game except for quests and raid. Even Mythic Plus will be hit this week because the chest at the end uses the same drop system. And the only sign it's happening to you is repeated gear types from personal loot drops across 1 or 2 slots over and over and over again. Right now, there is no known way of resolving this yourself. If you're impacted, you're basically just shit out of luck. And right now, there's no ETA on a fix, though if it has been fixed by the time I record this, there'll be a little editor's note. But that does kind of tell us everything we need to know about this being hard to diagnose, hard to reproduce. With that being said, though, I'm just going to enter serious mode for a sec This is actually a real critical bug, and it's affecting far more people than Blizzard's silence would suggest. For every report we've seen, there will be a dozen or 100 more people who just get pissed off at what they think is bad RNG and will just wander away from the game, maybe rage quit. That's really bad. And as for Blizzard, well, they've been investigating this for over a month with no real announcement. Because of course, the second they do a big announcement, it will become a lead news story everywhere. So I guess this is just how WoW is for now. Loot's broken. Hopefully it'll be fixed soon. But to be serious once more, Blizzard needs to treat this as being deadly serious. You know, not just a quick post and some apology coffer keys. This is the kind of bug that I think does deserve a real talk because it threatens one of the core reasons people play the game. And the worst part is it isn't even the most impactful bug that we've got. Devourer demon hunters can't roll on raid loot. And it's not just in some characters like with the other bug. Everything is wired up wrong right now, and that means that the shiny new spec of WoW cannot actually roll main spec on any bit of gear. Same actually goes if you're an augmentation evoker as well, where if you're in a raid, the only way you can get drops is to win them off spec or just have them be traded to you. Now the good news is this one has actually got a known workaround. You just change your loot spec, and then that just sidesteps the problem. Now, for Augvoker, that means that rolling with a Devastation Evoker loot spec will let you roll main spec on any of the gear that you need. As for Devourer, well, you can roll Havoc and get any bit of gear that you need, almost. The armor is fine because they've all got main stats. Warclaves are fine because they've got both of the ones that you want. But if you're after something like an int sword or a trinket, you are screwed. Now, like with the other bug, this has actually been around since at least pre-patch, and Blizzard are on the hunt for a fix. So, if you're an Augvoker, just swap your loot spec over to Devastation and forget about all of this stuff happening. And if you're a Devourer, raid with your friends or your guild, let them know that this is a bug, and maybe even do something like a /roll for an item in chat if it's an item that you want. Obviously, don't expect pugs to respect that solution though. Now, you may be wondering if these bugs are connected, and I have no idea. But I do know that some players are reporting Devourer rolls are entirely broken on M0s and Delves, and they find substantially more loot when they're rolling as Havoc. So I guess maybe you just want to play Havoc until all of this blows over. In fact, there's actually a great time to swap back to Devourer. It's just not right now, and that is because some changes are happening. In patch 12.05, everything will change. WoW will basically be a new game, and that is because, around 6 months after the launch of the season, one of the most blatantly missing features will finally be added. Devourers will become playable for real, and that's because demon hunters will finally be able to choose blue eyes. So yeah, that weird drama is ending. And even better than that, there are these new flameless options for both blue and green. That's quite nice. But honestly, I've got no idea what's up with customization in WoW right now. I mean, the new Haranir have more options than a bunch of the old races combined, yet Demon Hunters take months to get eye colors. It's strange. I mean, they can't even get blue tattoos. Not even with this change. Blizzard promised they were coming, then tried them out, but ended up having to pull them, so something is clearly not right here. They've either got no one working on it properly, or the system for customization is just so flooded with maybe technical debt that it's just a nightmare to work on, which is kind of insane. Even Shadowlands proved how much players celebrate whenever more options are added. So something has got to change here, and it is a repeated point of feedback, be it the new Demon Hunters, or of course just the game's regular races. But we do at least know that something is in the works. And that's because back in the flood of pre-night interviews, Maria Hamilton told Windows Central that customization is, quote, a larger project, and that it is down the road instead of soon. She didn't give specifics, but she did mention animations as being one major area they could improve. And at the same time, we also learned that they want to attach the transmog systems approach to glyph-based customizations, and they're also taking a look at toys. So basically, how your character looks in WoW seems to just be a bit of a mess behind the scenes, and it seems they have technical stuff to sort out. Of course, that's small comfort when it's taken weeks to get a change as simple as an eye color to literally match one of the new features, one of the new big back-of-the-box features for a WoW expansion. And of course, when glowing tattoos are apparently so hard that they can't even be shipped, which is just strange. But at least we know they are working on something, and that outrage, like for the blue eyes, does seem to have put a little bit of a fire under them. And the good news is that extends to class changes as well. Let's talk about the class changes. So this video has been a kind of Devourer special, and that's because there's more news about them than anyone else. And the 1205 PTR has been updated. It's been updated with class reworks. Devourer is one of the two targeted. And honestly, there's no prize for guessing the other one because it's probably the most reworked spec there is. It's the marksmanship hunter. I mean, they barely go a single patch without sweeping changes. So here's what's going on, and I'll start with Devourer. Their self-damage is being totally flipped. Soul Immolation is becoming a significant self-heal instead of self-damage, and the passive option is being removed. And it'll even reset on kill whenever talented, basically a bit like Victory Rush and some of the other self-heals. So that should make surviving a hell of a lot easier, especially in solo content, but it does add another button and another decision. Do you want the resources, or do you want the healing? Beyond that, there were a bunch of buffs to Voidscar's melee abilities, which should make that playstyle feel a bit nicer. Overall, it is good changes, but a self-heal that also gives you damage resources is a bit of a strange choice, though it is a thematic one. As for the marksmanship hunters, well, somehow, explosive shot has returned. It's honestly a bit of a joke at this point. I don't mean that in a particularly vicious way. It's just the explosive shot, you know, it comes back, and then it goes away for a bit, and that's just kept on happening for months and months and years. Anyway, the change this time is that it's back to triggering shrapnel shot, and precision detonation is also back. It's a genuinely fun talent to work with, but what is going on with class design when they're kind of flip-flopping so hard? That being said, I don't want to say, no, never change a thing you want to change because I'll call you out for flip-flopping. No, that's not really fair. If a change is good, it should be made, and I like that they are being agile here. Now, to make room for these changes, a few random buffs have also been chucked out, and Precise Shots has once again been changed, where now it's just a simple damage buff to Arcane, Multi, and Kill Shot. It's also been nerfed, by the way, but the base spells have been buffed up to compensate for that. I like these changes on balance, but I am a little confused. Of all the specs to unprune, why marksmanship? Why does a sniper with an eagle, themed after nature, shoot a bomb? Or, when they're in the survival spec, just pull out a shotgun? And on that topic, why don't they fix the insane sort of identity issues of survival that do just make it feel a bit incongruent in its design? It's all kind of weird, and it does feel like the class designers are flying by the seat of their pants here, and I would say not because they're bad, probably because they have a shitload of work to do, and it's a live game with loads of moving parts. So, if anything, I think this is just down to resources and scheduling. Now, these two specs aren't the only ones with changes. There are loads of changes that are basically all what you would expect after launch. Things like small tweaks to Apex talents or hero talents that do make a good bit of sense. I expect more substantial changes later once the designers have actually got data from this season. But even with what I've covered here, there is an awful lot of work still coming. So maybe 12.1 will end up saving the rogues and the arms warriors. Sorry, Arms Warriors, I know you guys have it pretty rough right now. Anyway, speaking of patch 12.1, would you like to know that our future patch zone is basically visible right now, and it's harboring an ancient Amani darkness? It's a little bit hammy, but you know what? It's some really cool lore, and you can check out all about it and this zone that we'll almost certainly be going to in a future patch in this video next.